Picture this. You possess what is arguably the most infamous reputation in the history of Singaporean social media. You are a registered child sex offender across multiple federal databases, officially labeled as one of the worst on the US Homeland Security's list of criminal aliens. Back in the mid-2010s, you fled to the United States seeking asylum, citing political and religious persecution after defaulting on your national service. Fast forward to March 2026, your nearly 5-year sentence in Illinois has been served and you have been deported back to Singapore. But the story doesn't quite end there. Within just 2 months, you've dominated national headlines again, this time for a global social media drama at an anime convention where you were literally blackflashed by a Yuji Itadori cosplayer.
Oh wait, what's happening?
Wait, fighting? What? They're fighting?
Oh shit.
What? Yo!
Oh shit. Oh shit, did he actually kill it? Oh shit. Oh fuck. That's crazy, wait.
Wait, why did he beat up?
Wait, that's crazy. I can't...
Oh, turn back.
Oh shit. Should I just stop? Oh fuck.
While the sight of a convicted offender being beaten in public might look like a scene straight out of Jujutsu Kaisen, this is more than just a viral clip. It is a complex study of vigilantism, rage baiting, and the fractured nature of online social behavior. Today, we're exploring what it truly means to uphold justice. My name is MrPokke, and this is how a convicted child sex offender changed Singapore.
A Yuji Itadori cosplayer just went full method by beating the brakes off of a convicted child predator. What? And he was at this con in Singapore. They kicked him out of the con, so he started recording in the lobby, and that's when Yuji found him. Like I said, we got multiple angles of this. So after the Yuji cosplayer knocks him down, gets a few good licks in, the two of them part ways, but then Yuji turns around and is like, you know what, no, I haven't had enough. And he literally tackles this man to the ground. So shout out to the Yuji cosplayers, man. Shout out to the JJK fan base. Really taking...
Now, regarding Amos Yee's background, I don't want to get too bogged down in the details, but here is the essential context. In 2015, Amos Yee rose to infamy for provocative YouTube videos targeting political and religious figures. He was sued locally by the Attorney General for inciting racial and religious hatred, specifically for a now deleted video attacking Christianity. Following very soon with the Attorney General's prosecution, this was actually not the first time Amos Yee was publicly attacked, because 11 years ago, Amos Yee was slapped by a man at the state courts. While the prosecution was going on, Amos Yee successfully branded himself as a victim of Singapore's suppressed free speech. This narrative gained massive traction overseas, leading to the US granting him an asylum. However, Amos Yee's activism soon took a darker turn, where he began publishing questionable content, including a blog post titled "Why We Should Defend Pedophiles," which remains online to this day. Things escalated where on August of 2020, he was formally prosecuted in the state of Illinois and then later registered as a child sex offender of 2023. This is also where he was given the 5-year sentence in Danville Correctional Center on one count of possession of child pornography and one count of grooming a minor who was aged 14 when he was 24. You can see his official offender registry from these pictures over here. After a failed parole attempt in 2023, Amos Yee was eventually deported and arrived at Changi Airport on March of 2026. He was immediately arrested under the Enlistment Act for defaulting on his national service, but later released on a $10,000 bail, where he once again made headlines by comparing his time to the US prison to that of a vacation resort.
In the US, in the US it was like a vacation resort compared to here. Although both Singapore prison and the US prison is not ideal. But yeah, in the US, there was like a TV, you were out most of the time. Well, here it's like, there isn't a TV, it's, essentially hell on earth. So, yeah, you only have like, a few cellmates and a few books to talk to, and that's it. That's all you do all day,
So to say that Amos Yee had a controversial past is definitely an understatement, so let's fast forward to the main topic of this video, and that's going to be the Dojima incident. The event organizers, Neo Tokyo Project, had already issued a preemptive ban against him, which he publicly acknowledged on social media around 11 AM. Despite this, he still appeared at Suntec City, which is the venue of the convention, posting a provocative photo captioned "Protect your kids" at 12:43 PM. So as you can see from this angle, which is gonna be where the most viral clip is coming from, the cosplayer went up against him and started hitting on his face, repeatedly attacking his face until he was onto the ground, and the filmers were basically commenting on the situation, going for the kick, and then what appears that he's gonna be walking away after the final kick over here. and the cosplayer started to walk away with one of his friends patting him on the back. And just when Amos Yee thought that he was gonna be free, the cosplayer then once again immediately jumped right on him and started pummeling on his face over and over again, which is where he was finally stopped by a female staff, which I'm assuming is either a staff or a member of the public, and the attack kind of ended from there. So this attack took place around 2:10 Singapore time, where he then posted an update after the attack over here. He also subsequently posted an attack from his perspective online on social media X, where a community note was given on a lot of his recent posts, where Amos Yee is going to be a convicted child offender who pleaded guilty to child pornography and grooming a minor in the US. At 5:54 PM, presumably after the authorities had processed both him and the assailant, Amos Yee then posted another picture showing the update to the injuries sustained on his lips. So on the surface, social media initially hailed the Itadori cosplayer as a hero, a vigilante dispensing justice against a convicted child predator. However, the mood began to shift once reality sets in, because the 18-year-old was arrested and charged with public nuisance and voluntarily causing hurt in Singapore. The assailant, who was an 18-year-old Chinese national and a Singapore permanent resident, was given one charge each of public nuisance and voluntarily causing hurt. If the conviction was going to be successful, the cosplayer could be jailed for up to 3 years, fined up to 5,000 Singapore dollars, or both. Whereas on the other hand, if he was found guilty of committing a public nuisance, he could also be fined up to $2,000. So this is where the most interesting topic of the video is going to be coming, which is going to be the public sentiments. So this is split into two distinct different groups, where we have number one, those who believe that the cosplayers did what the law couldn't, effectively cleansing the public space of a known child predator. Whereas on the other side, there are those who argue that regardless of the victim's history, unprovoked violence in a public convention hall is a dangerous precedent that undermines the rule of law, which could lead to escalations for even more dangerous scenarios in the future. Now, what is going to be known as common ground here is that almost no one is defending Amos Yee's character. Most people agree that he is a convicted child offender who should not have been there, not to mention his constant rage-based and provocative statements of "protect your kids" in an anime convention where there might have been minors present. Does Amos Yee's criminal history revoke their right to a physical safety in a civilized society, or is a cosplayer at Suntec City exactly what a community needed to feel safe? To put it simply, this is not debating whether or not people should be supporting or defending Amos Yee's past actions, because that's gonna be on federal records. But this is more so of a discussion on the ethics of vigilantism. Is there any line to be drawn over here? So amongst the common social media posts, you can see a lot of people basically just making fun of the situation. Someone's got to edit the Black Flash. Yuji should plead loss of control. It was Sukuna. We also have people on X saying that convicted child offender goes to an anime convention, posting a caption of this where it says "protect your kids," and eventually getting beat up by one of the cosplayers. Another comment saying the community rallies to raise funds to cover the fines and recruit the strongest legal defense in Singapore to protect the cosplayer. We have a lot of netizens online basically disagreeing with the verdict, and why are people getting arrested over a child offender, or pedophiles aren't people, they're parasites, therefore this man didn't attack anyone, he was simply doing pest control. Then we also have people on Twitter when it comes to the likes to views, as well as people just simply commenting on the fandoms of Jujutsu Kaisen, as well as even My Hero Academia. On top of that, there are also a lot of fan artworks, edits, basically talking about the situation, where we have Yuji Itadori, So You Like It Young against Amos Yee, as well as Black Flash, all of the edits popping up everywhere on social media. And then even on Facebook, there are people saying adding hero by smashing Amos Yee, as well as comments like cosplayer versus Epstein. And then on the other side of the camp, which are critiques of the 18-year-old cosplayer who landed the assault, such as, for example, he bought himself a Changi Staycation premium suit. Bosco deserved it, basically referring to the cosplayer, where the event organizer and security had barred Amos Yee from entering outside a public area unless Amos conducted a crime like Bosco. Amos is free to go wherever we want, where we also have people on social media basically saying that this guy is defending a child predator, so why should a child predator be allowed to walk free in the public? And then we also have others saying that the winner is Amos Yee, where in 2015, the guy who slapped Amos Yee got 3 weeks in jail. This time, it could be 1 month at least. Why ruin your own life? Another commenter saying, as much as many dislike Amos, it seems the attacker is trying to gain popularity and show off by assaulting Amos without any justification. To which we also have people saying someone being a pedophile is all the justification needed for them to get beaten to a pulp. I'm all for bringing back public castrations and executions as well, but until the government does so, street level justice will have to do. And then we have also have others saying Amos Yee won this argument, he was not the violent one. When a person is down, you step on him. No matter how much you hate or detest someone, never throw hands and never hit someone when they're down. Restrain and alert the security. The 18-year-old, which is going to be the cosplayer, will need to come with a good reason why he initiated the one-sided fight. Don't say, oh, it's a famous child predator, so I took it upon myself to execute justice. And the message saying that he took a swing at the cosplayer first needs to testify as well. Falsifying evidence is a crime, where allegedly Amos Yee attacked the cosplayer before the cosplayer struck back. Others are saying that society is spiraling downwards, and I see so many people shooting a convicted pedophile. Pedophiles are mentally sick and nothing can change that, and when some kids falls victim to a pedophile, who is going to be there to protect the kids in the society? So these are going to be some of the sentiments on Facebook. And moving on to Reddit, we also have a lot of Reddit posts for Singapore. Do you think what happened to Amos Yee at the anime event was justified? No, dude was literally trying to brain damage Amos by delivering elbows to his head. Lucky he was a scrawny kid. People supporting him should rethink themselves. He is no different from a typical Abing with likely anger issues who think it's super cool to beat up someone, seeing that he's going full on aggro at someone. While Amos is a piece of shit and deserves to be banned from the internet and put behind bars, this other guy should also be put behind bars, PR revolt and sent back to his country. We do not need this hooligan over here. Exactly, this is just an excuse to do violence onto someone. If there's evidence of Amos Yee taking upskirt pictures or someone or basically committing a crime, it should be shown online and reported. If everyone did what the guy did, then there will be anarchy and we'll get away with all the laws. Everything the guy did goes against the Yellow Ribbon Project, which the government has been advocating for years and years. So the Yellow Ribbon Project is basically Singapore's ways to rehabilitate ex-offenders in public. Whether you feel the punishment fits the crime itself is going to be a separate topic. Now, on the other hand, I'm all for the Yellow Project, but associating the project with Amos Yee is doing the project a disservice. Given that he is still trolling for attention rather than showing any signs of turning over a new leaf, it will be difficult for society at large to give him a chance at all. But that being said, it doesn't mean people should bash him up. I'm all for making sure that he is demonetized on all platforms, if not removed altogether, so that he does not get the attention. Collectively justifying vigilantism will mark some form of societal breakdown, and as much as someone may deserve something, we need to allow lawful justice to take its course. And a lot of our comments basically saying, as deplorable Amos Yee is, violence is not the way to go. Imagine going to jail and ruining your life and your mom's PR status because of Amos Yee clown show. So I'm just going to post a lot of these screenshots over here. You guys can kind of just read them for yourself. But basically saying that the actual assaulter was not going to be justified in this sense. And then other comments regarding vigilantism also has a lot of other problems. So for example, what if there's a chance that the accused is innocent? There isn't due process to investigate a crime. What level of punishment is appropriate? If someone can decide the punishment, there's no control on appropriate consequence, and judges takes years of law practice to calibrate their compass as well as deliver appropriate rulings. And who should be the one delivering the punishment? Should an unrelated bystander be the appropriate person to do so? Even prison sentences, caning, and execution is delivered by professionals following a strict system. As much as what I think Amos Yee did, if true, is despicable, I don't think that anyone outside of state's legal system should take matters into their own hands. Leave it to the authorities from there. And then we have other posts on Singapore basically showing up who is actually going to be the cosplayer, where you better have a hell of a mitigating circumstance defending a fellow cosplayer from getting harassed, otherwise it will be very stupid, giving Amos Yee more attention, making him a martyr all for what? A moment of fame and a criminal record. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult for the guy to punch Amos to argue his case from what we are seeing, but I'm also not a fan of Amos Yee either. I saw the video, it does look like an unprovoked attack, and Amos' reaction of what are you doing to the cosplayer does not seem to appear from the claim that the cosplayer was attacked by Amos in the first place. Way to ruin your life because of Amos Yee. And people are also discussing the fact that the attacker is going to be a Chinese citizen PR. That guy has even more to lose than just going to jail, most likely having his PR revoked as well as serving his sentence. Now, on the other side of Reddit, there are also people saying, why are people even defending Amos Yee? I agree with the consensus that the man does not deserve to get assaulted. However, the man is a convicted pedophile. Even if he has not groomed a child in Singapore, the man is still a predator. The fact that he does not even feel an inch of guilt to the actions that he has once done, and even dare to rage bait people with his Twitter post, the man was asking for something to happen. Yet somehow, in the eyes of our fellow netizen, the man should be given a second chance. Ludicrous. If the very act of pedophilia does not carry as much weight as it should on an individual, don't expect change in our society. If believing that pedophiles deserve to get a beating is akin to moral superiority, then it's a sign that there's even a deeper problem in the psyche of our people. Everyone deserves a second chance, sure, but if you inflict physical, traumatizing, or even permanent harm, especially against minors, you should be shunned in the eyes of society, let alone being a platform to spout your opinions. To which the comments for this post are going to be saying, two wrongs does not make a right. The 18-year-old assaulting another person is in the middle of a public space, and it definitely needs to be penalized. Other people defending Amos Yee need to have their PC and phones checked. Amos Yee can rage bait all he wants, and that's his problem, not anyone else's to assume a moral high ground and become vigilantes like this kid who went in and come with lies to cover up. It is not about defending Amos Yee. He is a pretty repulsive individual, but it is about upholding the system, which is predicated on punishments absolving of your crimes. Unpopular opinion, but the cosplayer was an attention seeker as well, both of them using each other to seek attention. Amos Yee intentionally posting that nonsense and then going somewhere he was banned from, and the cosplayer coming out with an accusation to attack him unprovoked. Both are trying to get a time in the spotlight, both sides screw both of them. And then with a very, very long and lengthy post, I'm just gonna send this as a final screenshot. Does anybody feel that the biggest winner of the whole ordeal is gonna be Amos Yee? He clearly wanted to go there for attention to create content, no matter how negative it was. He posted rage bait materials online and he was there at the space. And then he got jumped. That was probably way more than whatever online sensation he expected, and getting jumped is not something that happens to every day over here, especially in Singapore. He gets to find more engagement, posting more content and experience, and he get all this just at the cost of a busted lip. Meanwhile, the attacker, which is going to be the cosplayer as well as the mom, she must have worked so hard to attain a PR for herself and the son, or for that to potentially lose it before he can serve NS and get his citizenship. Even if she doesn't want citizenship for the son, the fact that her son might lose PR means that they will have to live apart, or she might have to change jobs and move back into her home country. And the cosplayer also ruined his future. Good chance that if he wanted to be a professional cosplayer in the future, not many events will want to partner him anymore. And because there is no gag on this case, anyone can Google the cosplayer's full legal name. Amos Yee rage baited him into getting a jail sentence and then potentially losing his PR. So at the end of the day, Amos Yee got a cosplayer into deeper legal shit that Amos Yee got himself into. If you count the fact that both Amos and this cosplayer will go to jail, but only one of them will be losing his PR status. And of course in Singapore, if you're going to be getting a criminal record, there's going to be a stain in your record to get a job in the future, especially in Singapore. So that is pretty much going to be the situation of the Amos Yee incident. And also if you have watched this video all the way to this time, this is like my first time trying out like a social documentary commentary kind of video. Just very, very different from my usual gacha space, because I just thought that the Amos Yee incident was so unique and interesting that I kind of want to just explore a little bit something outside of my comfort zone. So hope you guys enjoyed this kind of content. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below as well. Personally speaking, I think at the end of the day, Amos Yee is a convicted child predator. There's no amount of vigilantism or like online social media will change that fact. He is a convicted child predator who has counts of grooming a minor, which is going to be 14 years old, as well as possession to child pornography. So if you're going to be having that kind of history and you are going to be intentionally rage baiting people online, then if people do get rage baited, especially if you're going to be in a space where you are going to be banned from, then the consequences is going to be basically out of your control. It's a little bit of like, why are you putting yourself in this situation when you are the one who caused the situation in the first place? But that being said, because we are going to be in a society like Singapore, it is going to be very, very hard for these kind of like assailants to go away unpunished, not like other countries, because Singapore has a very, very strict rule when it comes to violence, especially in the public space. So no matter what the situation is, it is definitely going to be confirmed that the cosplayer who attacked Amos Yee has a lot more to lose than Amos Yee, because he wanted to go there to rage bait and get the rise of the public, whereas the assailant could have been anyone, because Amos Yee did not intentionally specify out that specific cosplayer. He probably just wanted to see what the reaction is going to be like, and because this entire thing happened, he has made YouTube videos where he now has over 20,000 views, millions and millions of social media impressions on Twitter as well as a YouTube account. So he is going to get even more traction online now, whether you like it or not, right? So with that, we've come to the end of today's content. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Word of the day is going to be, whoa, use code POKE for 10% off gamer subs, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.